it's check the author guidelines. It's my favorite, it seems to be my catchphrase today, but some journals let you, some don't. Usually you'll have to expand a little to fit the journal style. That's generally not a problem. To tie back to something else we talked about before, they will flag up on plagiarism checks. Usually, again, not a problem, but so it's worth just flagging to the journal if you're submitting it that it is a conference proceedings before and it might overlap. Our journals accept them, so yeah, not usually a problem. Just be open and clear about what you're doing. Okay. And that might change actually if the proceedings are published or if they're just put online. If they're already published in a volume, you might not be able to. It should say in the journal guidelines. So.
I have a secret about checking journal guidelines because sometimes they're good about writing it on the website and sometimes they're not. But the board is wonderful. Most of the board have published, I mean, almost by definition, the board have published with the journal. And they also don't get as many questions as the editor-in-chief. And so reaching out to the board can be fantastic. What I do, because not all of them are willing to talk, is I BCC all of them and ask the question and see who answers. And usually, I'd say about 80% of the time, their email addresses are right there, but they're usually easy to find.
So email the entire editorial board.
I've done it.
Yep.
You know, I figure, hey, I didn't threaten their children. I sent them an email.
Yeah, why not?
I've just got one other quick tip, which a boss gave to me a long time ago. So for some conference proceedings that are published, they're almost a paper. For others, they're just a very small abstract. As we've already heard, if it's almost a paper, you bring it into line with the journal guidance. So we'll leave that there. If you are submitting a very small abstract, and then in a few months' time, you're going to go and give a paper, the tip that my old boss gave me was, if you haven't written your paper yet, start drafting your paper in between the time you get your abstract accepted and you go and present your talk at whatever conference it is. Because it's very tempting, I think, to have got an idea, put in an abstract, you're still working on that idea, you haven't written anything up, be that a PhD chapter or a paper or whatever, you go and do the conference, you have a lovely time, and then you forget it, and it just disappears. And so what their advice was that you have a kind of a draft paper that either you put an abstract in for, or if you haven't yet, you work on that draft paper, you give your conference presentation, and then you refine that work with the feedback you get from the conference or the ideas that come to you while you're at the conference, and then you submit it quite soon afterwards. So it stops you, I think, having the joy of lots of conference experiences, but not necessarily taking that work forward any further.